If everyone will please stand, Mr. Thornton will lead us in an invitation.
Yes. Let us pray. Father, we come this morning thanking you for your grace and mercy, blessing and allowing us to come out today and conduct the business of the county. Lord, we thank you for the privilege to serve, and we just ask now that you'll guide us in our decisions, Lord, that there will be those that bless the citizens of this county. We thank you, and we give you the great honor and praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I would like to call the April 6, 2016 regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners to order. First item on our agenda is the approving of the minutes for our regular meeting on March 2nd, 2016, our work session on March 21st, 2016, and our regular meeting on March 21st, 2016. The minutes that were sent to you, are there any corrections to those?
I think on page 1826. Third paragraph at the bottom. In the second sentence, we should delete going. So the original proposal recommends going using. Just the editorial there.
I think
That's all it is there.
we had already seen that, but that's great. We can make a correction there.
How about 1828?
28, I believe so. Is it like midway to the page?
Yes. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes March the 2nd. Also, a work session on March 21st. And our regular meeting March 21st. As modified.
Motion has been made to approve the minutes for our 3 meetings in March as corrected or amended. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
Okay, motion's been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. The next item on our agenda is to approve the agenda for the meeting. There are some things that we need to do. If you look down to Roman numeral 8, new business, number 7, we need to replace that instead of personnel board recommendations to a budget request from the Board of Elections. Also, we need to delete item 10, budget amendment. That has already been taken care of. And of course, that will affect the numbers going down. So it'll be 10, 11, and 12. And Roman numeral 10, unless if someone knows something, there is no closed session.
Madam Chairman, I would like to get an update on where we stand on our current project.
Okay, so we can do that. So we'll leave Roman numeral 10 in. Okay, that's fine. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Okay, so we will begin our agenda, and the first item of business is unannounced delegations.
There are none.
Okay, there are none. Okay, announced delegations, I believe River Green Holly, Governor volunteer recognition. Good morning.
Good morning. Since I was county extension director, I've been the representative for Gates County for the Governor's Volunteer Award to solicit volunteer applications and send them forward to the state for them to determine Gates County's awardees. And I guess I need to ask you all, do you want me to continue doing this? If not, feel free to say no. So I need to know from you all going forward if you want me to continue in this capacity.
Well, from my point of view, I don't know a lot about what has been done, but recommendations for the Governor Volunteer Recognition Award is something that I think is important to Gates County. And I don't know if anyone else has stepped up to the plate to do it. And I really appreciate you taking that role, and I would like to see you continue if you are satisfied with doing that project.
It's fine. Basically, I get the email from the contact from the governor's office, and then I put information in the newspaper and word of mouth or wherever to submit volunteer applications. And sometimes you have to knock on people's doors and twist their arm to fill out the application. And then once I get them, I submit them to Raleigh and wait for a response from them. If any of our volunteers are selected as a medallion winner, which means there's only about 20 in the state recognized, then there's a governor's reception in Raleigh where the participant and the coordinator can attend for them to be recognized by the governor at a little social event. And that's it for the, and then putting it in the newspaper.
Have we had a recipients in the past?
Mm-hmm. We did have one last year because nobody would submit applications. And that's the other thing, is we have a lot of volunteers in Gates County, but it takes somebody nominating them, filling out the application, so it can be submitted. So I'd like to encourage everybody to do that process. And from now on, I think I'll send it also to Melissa to put up on the county web page, so more people will know about it.
Okay, Commissioner Jordan, are you making a recommendation?
You know, if it's the pleasure of the board, I would certainly be happy to make that a motion. I'll make a motion that we appoint Ms. Ruth Green Holly to continue in the role as Governor Volunteer Recognition Advocate for Gates County.
A motion has been made. Do I hear a second?
I second that motion, Madam Chairman.
Okay, a motion's been made and properly seconded. Any discussion?
No discussion. I would like to ask Ms. Holly, you don't have a list of those who've been recipients in the past, do you?
I have, when we started with the computer, I have what in the past few years have been, but I don't have one all the way back, I don't think. Because it's been 10 plus years that it's been going on.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I think if we're going to make an appointment, I think the appointment should have a time frame, like 2 years, that kind of thing, something that we can track, and hoping that in 2 years she'll accept it again. But I think it would be important, looking back at some of the things we uncovered, in terms of appointment should have a time frame. I would recommend 2 years as a part of discussion.
Would you amend your motion to include a time frame?
Sure. It's the pleasure of the board, it's 2 years, if that's the consensus of the board. I'll amend that motion that we reappoint Ms. Holly to 2 years in that role.
Okay, a motion has been amended. And does the second agree?
Yes, ma'am.
make a motion to approve Reba Green Holly to the Governor's Volunteer Coordinator with Gates County for a 2-year appointment. Any additional comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed.
Starting, the 2 years then would be the 2017 application, because 2016 is over with. So the next application will be recognized on the 2017 volunteer. But the process starts in the fall of
So 2016, your term would run from 2016 through 2018.
Okay. Okay, moving forward, this year we had a nominee that we had 2 people to help with that application. If they will stand, Aaron Riddick and Leanne Tyler. And our nominee this year works in various volunteer capacity you can have a seat. In the county. And this year's award for the Governor Volunteer Award, the history of this award, this is the 38th year that the volunteer recognition program has been in existence. Also, after you submit the application and it goes to Raleigh, the team then looks at all the volunteer applications that come in from the state, and those that they deem of a higher quality, they select about 20 or so to get the medallion, which is the highest volunteer award. And I've already explained what happens. In the past, the lady that was the state representative was really quick in getting us information back. So we had everything in order in March. And as of yesterday afternoon, I was still getting information from the new person. So I still don't have everything that I should have, but we know who our awardee is for sure in all the categories as of last night. So without further ado, this particular person has been the PTA Gatesville Elementary School president, and within his 2-year stint, he's raised $22,000 for a school playground and to refinish the gym floor. In addition, he served as volunteer and board member of the Gates County 4-H and Cooperative Extension Program, where he has helped with decision-making, also chaperoning various events and promoting 4-H activities. He's also been a volunteer for 4 years with the Wounded Warriors. He serves on the Department of Social Service Board and also on the County Planning Board. He was one of the first in the group that helped get the Gates County Chamber of Commerce off the ground. In addition, he coaches soccer, t-ball, and softball at the community center. He also provides senior citizens by helping to serve meals. He's been a benefit to citizens in Gates County from all walks of life. He has a huge heart, compassion for the needs of people, and a never-ending capacity for giving whatever, whenever is needed. In addition, it's not on this application, he is also Gates County's #1 jokester. I would like to recognize Jonathan Jones, Gates County's 2016 Governor's Volunteer Award recipient, and he also has been selected as a Medallion Volunteer Award winner. If you would come forward.
He did not write that presentation, did
No. And if I could have a commissioner come forward, we'd like to take a picture for the paper. And like I said, I had to make a certificate because they haven't sent me the right one yet. So we will use this one.
Okay, okay. Okay, there.
Oh, it still looks green, it's just the room.
Thank you. And again, congratulations to Jonathan, and we should be getting some information soon about the governor's reception, which will be held in May. They're trying to get his schedule together to determine that date. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, before Rita steps away, I would like to recognize her as a senior citizen first. And then as an Olympic athlete from Gates County. Rita, you want to share something with us about
So you
that?
were in the senior
The
games?
senior game started yesterday, and I usually submit a jewelry piece in the visual arts category, but this year I became an athlete and entered the long jump, which I used to do in high school, and I was first place for Albemarle, and I'll be competing at the state. 6 feet 1 inch. In the wind and cold with heavy
Were you
gear
against
on.
the wind or with?
Against the wind.
Pitt wouldn't have held it.
Okay, well, thank you, and thank you for your work you do. Okay, moving on, any other announced delegations? Seeing none, we'll move on to room number 5, administrative reports, starting with our county manager.
This report is from February 13th through March the 24th. All departments and offices have been working on budget requests for fiscal year 17. They were due on March the 15th. And as of today, I do have all of the budget requests. Annual evaluations are due to me by April the 15th. And on a day-to-day basis, I continue to answer calls from the public on many issues, work on tasks assigned by the commissioners, and meet with staff to ensure the county is operating correctly. During the month of February, Chair Hoffler and I, along with Sheriff Webb, attended the Albemarle-Centerra meeting concerning involuntary commitments on February the 15th. Senator Cook and Representative Steinberg attended, as well as representatives from surrounding counties, and Trillium was also present. Now, March the 19th, the JCPC, which is the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, held their quarterly meeting to discuss current programming and fiscal year 17 funding. JCPC voted to fund Genesis Restitution and Alternatives for Youth. That budget will be included in our annual budget with paperwork to be signed once approved. Do you have any questions?
The Trillium input as far as involuntary and voluntary commitments, did
They requested input, and that's basically where we left the meeting. They were asking for input on what counties felt that should be done to help with the involuntary commitment issue, and deputies waiting, who should be responsible for that when they take them to the hospital.
There was a lot of concerns, had similar concerns, all the counties with concerns that we have.
Yes, ma'am. I've heard that in some of our other meetings with the Board of Health. And there are some funds that I asked about as far as for having someone already trained with handling behavioral patients as opposed to a deputy sheriff. So, didn't know if they addressed that.
No, there was a concern about there not being a psychiatrist with telehealth, and the mental health aspect of that is no longer available. And there was discussion about there not being a psychiatrist on staff at Centerra. There's one in Virginia, but they're not licensed in North Carolina, and the wait that patients have to endure and how long they have to stay at Centerra while they're waiting on someone from another part of the state to come into Elizabeth City.
There was some, what was it?
I think
Curry
five.
thought there was someone stayed a month
Yes.
before they could get evaluated.
And then I think finding a bed too, finding an appropriate bed somewhere in the state.
That was a discussion as well about passing people from the west coming east and the east going west, and trying to make sure that there were beds within, reasonable driving distance.
Because we have
Very good.
some taking them to like Black Mountain, and then some are going to North Side there, Kirk County. Didn't make sense.
Question on the annual appraisal. On the PDFs that's on the computer, when you
we've worked on that several times, and we're still trying to address that, but if you can't, all of the employees are aware of it, several have addressed it, they can just handwrite that.
Just mark it.
Okay. Thank you, and hopefully we can get Trillium to get a psychiatrist in this area. Certainly there is a great need. Okay, moving along to finance and tax. Ms. Lane?
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I had an opportunity to view the collector's report. And a couple of heavier items on the report that I submitted, and some that were not received in time with the report to address today. But any question on the collector's report as you viewed it? We are obviously slightly above if you look at those percentage points due to the fact of the second delinquent mass mailing that we did back in February and also our advertising efforts not long ago in the paper. So we're kind of pleased about those and continue to work towards that effort of getting all delinquent taxes for the county.
And thank you for the work you do. And the read-eye in the paper was big enough that you could see.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, we, Cliff, I will say at the paper, we worked well this year with him, and that formatting was such that we could have everything displayed in the columns being visible and, pretty legible there, so.
Okay, how about Keystone?
Well, yes, ma'am. On my tax department report, you'll see some notes that I made from the database that was split on actually March 8th. That splitting of the database will allow us to enter dual, if you will. The reval team will have opportunity to key in data and not affect, if you will, any items that are on the appraisal side. Now, included in that, there were some, and there are still remaining things that are going on with that, with the database split and with the operations as they exist, and specifically relating to keying in a section of a building. If we add a wood deck, we'll say we see that section listed, but within the vectors, and we call those sketch vectors, like if the deck is 10 by 12, they allow us to go in and, key in that sketch. We don't have that, or we have problem areas with that. Other things about appraisal figures not being displayed properly, the reval figures, there's some flagging items within the programming. Before venturing over to the courthouse, there was an email from Jerome Twine, the programmer. Apparently we're going to meet again today, another conference call at 2 o'clock, and see where we are. Of course, Renee McGinnis is kind of pointing on that. She's the one primarily keying in those sales studies right now to see where we are. We need to key in all the sales before we start moving any values. That's kind of primarily what you do, and then you see how far do you move, I'll say, the land, how much does the land go down, things of that nature. So that's key right now. We need to be able to key in all the existing sales and start that framework first. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just a reval. There are problems within our own office that are still unresolved. Regarding collections, listing, appraisal from what we do. We have tried to target and, stay the course and remind those folks that they're not resolved. I think I submitted an email to Natalie. There were some questions from Keystone about the unpaid invoice, so to speak. So I don't, that's kind of where we are, and I did forward that to the county attorney and the county manager on that to see. It's kind of difficult to want payment, and those tasks are not complete. So,
I said, I don't know, we're probably going to discuss this a little later, but the Ellis account gives me some concern. The properties that they have, they only have 3 or 4 properties.
3, that's correct, yes,
3
sir.
properties. And those properties are continually accruing attorney's fees. And they're properties that really, that you can't sell them, they're so small.
Mhm.
Either the configuration is not conducive to, for sale, putting a house or anything on. And so, is there a way we can get that back
Mhm.
from them? Because, even if you foreclose on it, there's no guarantee that it's gonna sell. I'm thinking that properties like that would probably be better off in-house, and we probably do our own foreclosure procedure,
Mhm.
and maybe try to contact adjacent landowners and get what we can out of it, rather than accruing attorney fees and, where, it's not gonna, it's costing us more money than it is, to keep it in the hands of the attorney right now.
Yes, I would happen to agree on some of those points. And keep in mind, these 3 accounts, some of them date back to as far back as 2009 with no activity, and you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, at the time of our meeting this morning, I asked the Ellis Law Firm to provide us with, and I may have mentioned that, some detailed information. What are the current fees? What is their status? And so far, I've not gotten that to see where we are. The very minimum, each account is probably looking at, I would say, at bare minimum, at least $600, if not more, just for attorney fees, dating back to '09 on each of those. I agree, and the fact that they've been there for that long, they are unique properties, they're less likely to sell because of lot configuration, the topo, the shape of them. I agree. It would require, however, the final payment to Ellis Law Firm, whatever that entity would be, and once we have that information, I think the board and all of us can be better informed as to what we need to do. There's no need to leave it there for another year and have it, accrue continual charges. But, pending that information, it's kind of hard for all of us to make an informed decision. So hopefully we can get something very soon to see the status, where they really are, the amount of attorney fees total, and then the board can make that decision, I think. Unfortunately, I didn't have it at the time as I requested from the law firm, before the meeting, so.
Well, one of the properties has 14 acres, so that probably could be sold. I mean, that might attract buyers. But the rest of them probably, it's just adjacent land, and they could just take it over.
And the one with 14, I believe that one is, it's off-road. I looked at that.
Is that with no access?
Yeah, it's, the access, I think, is that road that comes by there, is that it doesn't have the name of it?
Yeah, that oddly enough is a paved road. It does go to a dead end in which there are a few houses, if you will, nestled along it, but that is probably the most attractive, as Chair Hopler indicated. It does have some small hybrid pine, marketable, we have some entities surrounding that could possibly be interested in ownership. I'm sorry.
Do you know if, I see the word heirs out there, and that complicates things.
Yes.
But do you know if that is 9 heirs, 2 heirs?
Yeah, we do not. It could be a grandbaby of some sort who would have legally a claim to the property. So it could be as many as 9 or 12 in various different states, what makes it more unique, unfortunately. And that's where you compromise your case. If you omit one person, you've kind of foregone all the work, and if there is one entity out there that is overlooked, you kind of compromise the whole foreclosure process. But
Okay. Well, and I know that you have contacted the Ellis firm, and hopefully they will have the information you have requested so you can give it to us.
yeah, hopefully, yes indeed. My last conversation was March 21st with Kim Steele, with a paralegal there with Ellis, and I reminded her the board would like to see that, certainly with making some decisions moving forward.
Yes, sir.
I presented to the board and to our tax administrator a letter from the board to Mr. Ellis, with a copy to our attorney,
Perhaps, I know the board has tried that avenue before with, communicating with them. So that may incite some more prompt response, if you will. I certainly will. I can draft that letter and on behalf of the tax department and the board of commissioners.
Okay, do we want to make a motion to request our tax administrator draft a letter on behalf of the board of commissioners requesting that information about these accounts?
But if I may, you haven't made a motion yet.
Well, not yet, but,
If on the previous page, we said on the Jones property, the word suspend.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to, I'm in agreement with what I heard from Commissioner Jordan. We need, also like in that document to say to suspend any activity, so there will be no more charges.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And I already know what I want to do with all three of these accounts. I won't go there yet. But I know what I would recommend, unless somebody wants me to stay there, I will.
Okay, let's take the first item first, about the letter. Do I have a motion from a board member to request our tax administrator to draft a letter on behalf of the board of commissioners to the Ellis Law Firm concerning these three accounts that we'd like to have it
Suspended all activities.
and we would like to know what the total cost are.
Yeah.
the account balance.
Yeah, the status and the account balance.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, that motion has been made.
Second.
That properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. So if you will draft that letter and request to the Ellis firm, maybe we'll have something by May.
Yeah, I hope so, yes, yeah.
Okay, do you want to speak to the Jones property or what would that be?
I just was reminding the board that in my conversation with ZLS of what they were willing to do, and to my knowledge, the county attorney was going to research and see where, if anything was on file with regard to any estate in Hertford County, and so far we've not reconnected on that issue. But ZLS has agreed to suspend, if you will, some activity as a courtesy to see where we are. And I just wanted to just inform the board of that.
Okay, and I do notice that it's the Board of Equalization and Review time.
Oh, yes,
I
yes.
guess we need to set up a schedule, but we have to have at least 2 weeks of, the board can convene as early as April 25th and schedule a minimum of 2 weeks and a maximum of 6 weeks between the convening and adjourning dates. And I know the calendar gets very busy here at budget time. To county manager, when would we be meeting about budgets?
May 10th and 12th.
And at what times?
The one on the 10th, if I remember correctly, is at 7, and the one on the 12th, I think is listed at 12.
Well, okay, would you,
Yeah, it's going to be a conflict with me.
And these are the dates that were listed on the one that was approved back in back in December. And yes, it's on it's in that corner with those
okay, no,
dates.
that's right, I'm sorry. The Board of Equalization and Review, I do see that so far there has been no appeals.
That is correct.
Of course,
I've
this is
got,
the last year we're in this evaluation, so I
That's
imagine
right.
next year we'll have plenty. Looking at our calendars, it can't be before the Monday of April the 25th. Are there any suggestions from the board?
First of all, that 2-week period, we don't have to be up there. We have to meet once to open it and
Once.
formally go through the process. But after that, unless we get some request, we don't have to meet.
That is correct. We can simply open the board BNR, and it'll remain open, and if we do receive any appeals, but you're absolutely right, we don't have to say, meet on a Monday on the, 25th and meet again. It's not rigid unless we get an appeal. That's exactly
And we
right.
could, at one of our regular meetings, just have to close them.
That is correct. It could be coincided on the tail end of a meeting, if we have a taxpayer that wanted to be heard with an appeal. But, and we say that before the 25th, obviously. That'll give ample time for the advertising per general statutes. That'll give me time to formulate something for the paper and have those dates noted. So the week of the 25th was, the earliest for us, and we can begin at that point.
What time? 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm flexible, yes.
So, are you suggesting April the 25th at 4?
Yes, that could work.
Yeah.
So, any problems at the Commissioner Freeman and Commissioner?
25th at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. Equalization and review. Okay, so that we can go ahead and get that out of the way.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Okay, I'll formulate that for the paper and everything. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
Any additional questions?
Well, yes, ma'am. We did not have any refunds for this month. We did have a letter arriving late on behalf, I may have emailed you that on yesterday, on behalf of a taxpayer. The attorney submitted a letter. Now, my conversations, and actually Deputy Tax Collector Lloyd Chavis spoke with this attorney, and so his next point of contact was the board. Obviously, I did not deny his request to write the letter. It's the issue of releasing interest on a delinquent account back from 2009 on a parcel of land. So, although there were no refunds, I thought if the board had time this morning, since the letter did arrive late, but if we could submit that and have that for discussion.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, in that email, you listed the general statute.
Yeah, we cannot really technically release interest, much like we would do unless we had a clerical error or a coding error, like we would do in any case, as we've done in regard to fire fee or land segment type.
The general statute, I read it this morning, read it quickly. Sort of tells me that we can't send him his money, right?
Absolutely, and that's basically what I told him. So his next point of contact was you folks, and I invited him, as I would invite any representative or taxpayer to present it to the board, and that's your option. So I knew what I was prepared to, I'll say, stand on with that, with regard to the interest.
Would you like for us to take a position on it, or?
Well, yeah, I would like
Make
a
part of
a motion from the board in terms of their any decision.
Before we go into the motion, I looked over the taxpayers' remedies, and I agree with you. There's not an obvious clerical error that could have caused it, nor is it any illegal tax, and nor was the tax levied for an illegal purpose. So, for the purpose of the general statute, we're not authorized to release it. But I would ask that we have, that the letter that we send, because we have to send a letter from the board based on the general statute. It says you must notify the taxpayer in writing the board of commissioners, basically why you're not refunding the money. And then it goes on to say that the taxpayer has the option of bringing a suit against the county after 90 days, a civil suit. Even if it's within 3 years, if he believes that it was not correct in the way that they see it. So, recognizing that we have an option to bring a civil suit against us, I think we ought to be clear in the letter that the commissioners are not authorized to release these tax delinquency charges not meet the criteria of a clerical error, nor any legal tax or tax that was levied for legal purposes. And that is the only authorization that we have, so that they're clear that, this is not a personal thing, this is not something that we're doing and not considering their situation, because he does explain in the letter that his client is not a person of a lot of means, and they need their funds. And we're just not authorized to do it. I think he needs to be made very aware that that's the reason that we're not doing this in the letter.
In the letter, you probably needs to reference general statutes and that what you had put in our letter or the email that you sent us, is clerical error, the reasons that you can waiver.
Right, absolutely, and we can't make a comment where the tax bill notice, we assume it went to Windsor, Virginia back in '09. Oddly enough, I sent you the deed at that time based on the transaction that was done on the property. And Mr. George Norris, oddly enough, was a managing member of the prior entity and the new entity at that time that was transferred to. So the fact that they never got a tax bill was, I thought that was interesting. He had an interest in both of those LLCs, if you will, and long before his death. So I thought that was problematic. Interestingly, of the transfers done along that time, another parcel, sister parcel, was included, and there was a prepayment made to that parcel. Why it never was addressed on this particular parcel is, I can't comment on that, but at any rate, I'll surely include that language with the general statutes in the letter, and hope, Mr. Riddick.
Was the email, it was an email, right? I mean, I know you sent us an email. How did you get your correspondence?
The initial correspondence was, W. Tesla and Lord Chavis was involved in a phone conversation from Mr. Riddick. We sent, and this came up with the delinquent mailings, like he never got a delinquent mailing ever. And so when we did our mass mailing back in February, this was pulled in that batch of letters. So that's initially how it started, and then the wrong address, certainly.
The letter went to a lady that didn't know anything about it, and she called the tax office. And Betty Marsh gave it to me, and I pulled it up, and I said, we need to collect this 2009. So I sent Mr. Riddick a letter letting him know that this property was still due for 2009, even though 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 had already been paid. And so, well, maybe he doesn't know this. No, because, so that's how it all got started.
Okay, so he owes for 2009, has paid the years that followed.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
And
And that was the day
he
that
doesn't mind
transferred.
paying the 9, he just doesn't want to have to pay the interest that has accumulated on the 9 bill.
Yes, and that's when it transferred back in March of '09 from Mr. Norris, the managing member, if you will, of one LLC to another. And why the tax, why they never got a delinquent letter before now, I can't comment on that. I only know what we did in February, which spurred the activity, which led to the phone calls and correspondence there. So,
And no attorney involved here. Was there any mention of attorney in that?
no, not that, I'm aware. So,
Madam Chairman, Commissioner Jordan, in consideration of the letter that you were speaking of, should we consider in lieu of, and along with the letter, just a copy of the general statute attached to that letter? And then that would cover some of those other aspects.
And you could highlight the parts.
Okay.
That's the first, because the general
Make it very
statute
clear.
is right.
These are the only authorizations that the commissioners have. There's another general statute that says that if the Board of Commissioners authorize the release of taxes or even or penalties for taxes that are not clearly authorized, then the Board of Commissioners are responsible for that.
mm-hmm.
And maybe we want to cite that as well, that we can't do it.
Yeah, I can imagine the precedent it would set throughout county, I mean, through various parcels, I know.
I would send it certified mail.
Okay, all right,
So that way you know that you received it.
okay, very good. All right, so,
Okay. Do we don't need a motion for that, the instructions we just gave?
actually, I would prefer if it would be documented in the motion.
Okay, do I have a motion to request that tax administrator send a letter, certified letter to the, Mr. Riddick concerning the taxes on this property, including the general statutes? And motion's been made and second, do I have a second? Mr. George. Okay. Any following discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On another note, is the courthouse going to be available for the meeting on the board ENR? That'll also be noted in the paper. That,
No, it's something you have to check with.
Okay, all right,
I'll have
very
the
good.
calendar in here.
okay, very good. I will, thank you. All right, thank you.
Because it has to be posted to the place as well.
It does, yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other departmental reports? I see that Patrice is here, and I was reading I wasn't reading your report, I was reading your report, but I also noticed in budget, information about monies, we are doing very well with repairs, we're paying for, that Hertford County DSS is, that is,
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
I see that has really gone way above what we estimated.
Page number on
It is on page 2 of 17 at the very front. Because it had been, we had thought it would be about $6,000 we would collect, and we've already collected $13,000. So it's quite double. So we'll really keep bringing the money in.
Time frame on that?
But this is through February.
Madam Chairman, may I thank Patrice for such a good meeting we had in regards to that, in your office, our board meeting. So, very full.
Thank you.
So we do appreciate that. Okay, any other departmental reports? Mr. Hedgepath, I see you, 13, I see we're still locating meters for the contractor.
That should be done, everybody's moved out, but I'm letting it stay one more month just in case.
I think we've probably located every meter, all 13.
But the only thing that's left now is our local DOT has to come back in and do the turnarounds. Go up there at the bridge, that shouldn't have any effect on me. The only place is the intersection of 158 and 13. They are gonna put a circle drive in there for access to the fire hydrant.
Okay, well, thank you. In fact, all the departments for their work. Is there I don't believe we have anything left in that category. Articles in this kind of calendar, and you have that in front of you as well. So,
I do have one
yes, sir.
comment. I see Jennifer's not here today. That piece.
No, she's not here.
On the code violations, there's a chart in there. I'm just, I don't know, now that can imagine if you can address this, but what is the next step? I see where we have 2-3 complaints, and some of them have gone beyond the 30 days, 60 days. What is the next step?
I would like to defer that question until the May meeting because we recently took someone to court. The judge ruled in favor of the person who was in violation of our ordinance, so we need to bring our ordinance back before you in May for some clarification, and that will address some of these issues going forward.
So that's gonna be on.
Ordinance wasn't strict enough or something?
No, that's not the case. I will just Mike will be here to explain it, and I know Commissioner Freeman was in court that day as well, so I will just let them explain it at the May meeting.
Are you looking at the list that we've got? Have you got that one?
Yes.
Could you just tell us what number, what day it
I
was?
don't remember the person's name, I'm gonna be
Okay.
honest about that.
No problem. Okay.
Well, there's one that's near Commissioner Jordan and I mean, after 8 visits, it's a little much.
I wonder what the next steps are.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, moving on, there's no public hearings today, old business. First item is the solar farm ordinance final draft, that's in your notebook.
The remaining question that we still have not received an answer to is J on page, it's on the second page. The bond or letter of credit, we have sent that question to a local bank representative, and they are still awaiting. They said that was not answered they could fully answer. They are still awaiting an answer. But as I spoke with Jennifer, she made all the other changes that were discussed at the last meeting, and her recommendation is that if we cannot decide on an answer concerning J today, that be removed. And then a public hearing be held on this at the May meeting because the moratorium will expire the end of May. And we can always go back and add the bond or letter of credit at a later date, whether it is at the public hearing, if we have that information, that can be added since comments will be accepted from the floor for consideration, or even if we receive information after this is passed, it can be amended, just as other ordinances are amended.
But that takes a process, I mean, it's
Correct.
not a quick
Correct.
process. Okay.
What were we actually asking?
Which was better? What we determined that the question was, which is better, a bond or a letter of credit regarding the total cost of the project and how it should be held.
One right thing, that's the only thing I see highlighted.
Right, that was the only thing that we've not received an answer to, that you needed an answer to. She made corrections in the other locations.
And one thing that on my brain right now is we talked about transfer of ownership. I don't know if that's a question we need answering, but I know I brought that up.
That's on the last page.
Is it last page? Okay. Okay. And Natalie, the email, I know you haven't seen it yet, because I just sent it.
No, I didn't, I read it very quickly.
You did?
Right.
And I've read it very quickly too. I just want to, that might, somewhere in that, there's a template in there as well.
Right.
Somewhere in there it might address something like
In the
that.
ordinance that they have.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we're not working on it today. We'll get some more time.
And that, we're waiting on the answer for the bond from whom?
You had asked that we contact the attorney or a bank, so we contacted the bank, and they were not able to answer the question. They needed to send it to someone else
About the attorney?
about the letter of credit or the bond.
How about the attorney?
No, the response. I don't know if Jennifer actually sent it to him. I believe we decided, I think between when Jennifer and I spoke, we decided that a bank would probably be a better person to answer this since it dealt with money.
You're
Do we need to follow up on that?
We have followed up with the bank. They're still awaiting the answer as well.
So in order to move forward, your recommendation is to remove it for now and then go ahead with the public hearing with the intent of addressing it when we do get the answer.
Correct. And if we have the answer before the public hearing, during the public hearing, you can add this back into the ordinance. If you remember when we had the ordinance, the animal control ordinance, there were items removed during the following the public hearing before the ordinance was passed. And there were, I believe, one thing added into that during that meeting.
Well, what would be the difference? And then if we would just go ahead and approve like it is, and then just make the modification and we get the answer.
You can do that. I'm basing my recommendation on what Jennifer recommended.
Well, that kind of makes sense.
That way, leave it in there.
Leave it in there and then change it.
And then modify it once we.
Okay.
That would be, so it'd be printed items that people could see.
It's gonna require something, we just
Yeah.
don't know which
Which way?
is gonna be best.
I agree. I think that's the more prudent avenue. Okay, so the actions that we need to take is to,
You need to approve this final draft so that a public hearing can be held at the May meeting.
okay, entertain a motion.
I'm sure I'll make a motion that we approve the final draft, move forward with the public hearing, and to modify with new information that we received
Okay.
at that time.
Okay, a motion's been made to approve the draft that we have before us, and to do for the May meeting.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay,
Madam
motion's
Chairman.
been made and properly second. Any discussion?
And
Jim, okay.
I'd like to emphasize too, as Commissioner Jordan mentioned, Brother modify, maybe we just make amendments accordingly as we address those issues.
I mean, just advertise it as is, and then, of course, if we need to, we can modify.
Right, and the public hearing.
Okay. Any additional comments or questions?
How about the selection of a public hearing date?
That will be at our May meeting,
Okay, we have 2 May meetings.
at the first May meeting,
Do we have time to advertise?
yes.
Okay, a motion has been made and properly seconded that we consider the solar farm ordinance for our first meeting in May. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so that will come up in May. Okay, the College of Albemarle appointment. You see a letter from Dr. Dietermeyer, requesting that we reappoint Graham Klein as our representative to the COA Board of Trustees. What is the pleasure of the board?
I would make a motion that we reappoint Graham Klein. I have learned since our letter of last commissioners meeting that he also attended and graduated from College of Albemarle.
A motion has been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. The historic courthouse, we received a correspondence from Clearscapes. It was interesting. They agreed and disagreed with parts of assessment of WJE. So, I can read in the letter, of course, their suggestions They did make several recommendations and suggestions in that. They do think there should be material analysis. And they also recommend to proceed with a limited masonry testing. They also asked for a control sample to be done as well as that on the west wing, but to have a control sample from another part of the building. And it is stucco and mortar should also be sampled in similar fashion. And then, once the testing is completed, to review the data with WJE and come back with a final recommendation that all the parties support.
Which I'd like to add to that. Another one is do not test the reclaimed brick as WGE has recommended. If we're going to respond to WJE, obviously we don't want them to proceed as outlined by Clearscape. However, do not test the reclaimed brick as specified by Clearscape. I think we need that in there as well. They want to retest they want to test the reclaimed brick, and basically, I guess Clearscape is saying, well, we don't know if it's going to be feasible to do that just yet. We may be able to use something not reclaimed, depending on what the existing testing reveals.
Okay, any other comments? Do we have any information about the cost of this?
Yes, that has been sent to you and, for the first March meeting. That's why I was just subtracting out the reclaimed brick testing. It would cost $7,600. $7,600
To do what Clearscape specified.
to do the existing brick testing, mortar testing, and stucco testing.
And the reclaim was how much more?
Reclaim was $4,400, and then there was also an alternative, which would cost an additional $4,800.
Okay. So that for the mortar, stucco,
Now,
and the brick,
yes, now,
is $7,600.
yes, but now I would need to get clarification on what WJE has provided, because it says they will perform lab testing to evaluate material properties of 5 more brick samples from existing masonry that is provided to you. Now, I would need some clarification as to where they would receive those 5, since Clearscape has recommended taking it from different areas of the building, not just the west wing. And we have continuously stressed to WJE that you do not get full bricks out of the courthouse because of the way that they are designed. They come out in pieces. I will let you know that Reed Thomas visited on Friday, and he is, of course, pleased with all the work that's taking place, and he's also pleased with all of the work that the county is putting into trying to remedy the west wing. He wanted to know the status of it, and I told him I'd call him after today to give him an update. I did let him know about the discrepancy in opinions between WJE and Clearscapes, and he agreed with Clearscapes in that the bricks are, the cracks are not 100 years old as WJE feels, because he said he does not remember seeing them the first few times he visited, and that Fischetti did not mention them until the late 80s. So, but he said that he would recommend having the brick tested. He also was not recommending having reclaimed brick testing until we determine the initial brick analysis.
Was he just a personal interest? Was he here just out of personal
Thomas works with the Cultural Resources of North Carolina, and he periodically stops by just to see what's going on. He took pictures of the interior, the exterior. He has provided input about, I believe, the colors. He also is the one who told us, yes, we can take down the trees, that they were not historical. So he has provided lots of feedback while I've been here, and I believe in the past as well.
Also, I will say that the Historical Society, we're a little concerned about the sunlight in the east wing, and then we were looking into maybe putting in some type of interior storm windows, if possible, to cut down on the heat.
Well, Reed and I talked about the windows, and he's supposed to be looking into a few things. He also recommended that the county go ahead and proceed with applying for any grants. He said because you might be able to find something that might assist with the west wing, but that the Covington was something that he did recommend someone go ahead and complete.
I think we could get the Covington, especially for something like the windows issues.
See, I've seen Covington in some writings before. What's the dollar amount on that?
I don't remember.
I knew,
Like 25,000 or something, isn't it small?
well, it's going on which one you get. They have different categories, and I was thinking it was 50,000. Mary Alice, do you remember? I think it was maybe, it might have been even, I had the application at home, or did have an application at home.
Does anyone recall the year that we had the earthquake? Was it 3, 4, 5 years ago?
When did we felt here?
Yeah, when we felt here.
It was 2011 or 12.
Okay, because that had an impact on buildings. I know that apparently those cracks were not required of that. I'm sure that.
Didn't help them.
Yeah, it could have made them more pronounced. I'm just wondering if they gave that into consideration as well. That the earthquake,
I remember it.
yeah. Yeah, I was sitting in my bed and my chandelier was going like this.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the board?
Work has been at a standstill for almost a year now.
So we really need to do something, or
Well, I think at this point, Madam Chairman, we need to respond to WAE and ask that they proceed in accordance with the recommendations of Clearscape, our architect, which is, as you pointed out, it's going to be those items of continue to proceed with the testing and request the additional testing of samples of the stuff, or the things that you named, excluding sampling of brick, of the reclaimed brick at this time. And get that information back, and then we can go forward.
if those, they can just call those. Okay, is that a recommend? Are you making that formal motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, a motion's been made to ask WJE to go on with the testing of the mortar, stucco, and the brick, not the reclaimed brick, but the brick. At the cost of $7,600, we think.
So that's an estimate,
Estimate.
unless it changes based on the number of bricks that they have to evaluate.
And or we can state that excluding the cost of reclaim.
Oh, yeah, excluding the cost of the reclaim. Okay, a motion's been made. Do I hear a second? This motion has been made and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, so you've been instructed. Okay, I think it's, we might need a stretch break.
Yeah,
So we'll, before we head into new business. Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. Yeah. Okay, if we can come back to order. We're going to start with our new business. Mr. Heshapan has stepped out of the room at the time, so we're going to go to A, Voluntary Agricultural District.
Well, we should get to it, but-
He needs to-
but-
Yes, but since Gladys is in here, to go ahead and let her, she does have something where else she needs to be today.
So we'll take her
Jennifer
and then,
has informed me that you were going to speak on behalf of the voluntary ag district and just give a very short update as to what it is.
good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I apologize for wearing my coat, but I have a chill that I can't get rid of. Unfortunately, I am still learning a lot about the voluntary ag district. I do know that it's a good thing to have. The stormwater, I'm glad to sell with Gates County Stormwater Conservation, and our board is, they find that it's in the best interest of the county to participate in this program. It helps the farmers, it helps, this is an ag community, and it's growing, and we have a lot of folks moving into the county that aren't so kind to the smells of agriculture. This particular program will kind of buffer some of the complaints, you know. Basically, if we're in this program, it kind of tells people that, look, you've moved here, this is an ag district, you're going to smell waste, or you're going to smell and hear the sound of tractors, and you're going to hear everything that goes on in the ag district. So there's two kinds, there's voluntary ag district and there's the enhanced voluntary ag district. With the enhanced voluntary ag district, there's a little bit more with it. It's 10 years that you sign up for. There's the conservation plan that has to be done. The deed is recorded, whereas with the regular voluntary ag district, there's no minimum requirement of how long you can stay in. You can get in and get right back out. Again, I feel that this is in the best interest of the county because this is an agricultural community, and it is growing, and farmers can have a little bit of a protection. Now, we're not saying by law they're protected from any lawsuits because of different things that can arise, but it sure adds as a buffer in behalf of them. And so definitely my board supports it. And we did have a county meeting. We didn't have many people to show up, but we had enough that they could go out in the community. And so we've heard some feedback on some of the larger farmers that are willing to get in this program if we allow it.
I see that in the state of North Carolina, there is 87 out of the 100 counties have adopted this program. And if you look at northeastern North Carolina, or in our little area, we are, you know, Chowan, Clemens, Passertine, Camden, Currituck, Hertford, Bertie, all, and Northampton are all in it. Martin is not nearly as high as Tyrrell or Dare. I do notice on the highways when you're traveling, you'll see the signs that this is a voluntary agricultural district program. And
Are
so,
there any obligations to the county in doing that, or as annual meetings or whatever?
No, as a matter of fact, we would really need to look into potential grants that could help us with signs, and a lot of times Farm Bureau, they'll help out with different things. I know they're kind of tight. Farm Bureau actually helps me with a lot of my education programs through Stormwater. I mean, they contribute to us. Felton Outlet on the Farm Bureau board is also the treasurer of my board. And I have not talked with him in detail, being the passing of his father and stuff, but I plan on sitting with him to see where Farm Bureau can help us with that, because there are costs associated. And that is one of the reasons why we kind of want to get a steering committee started. And that steering committee will sort of just sit down and discuss everything that needs to take place to get this together. And then after a while of planning that, then it will be dissolved where an actual VAD board will be established. So, and that board has a lot to do with how everything runs within the voluntary ag district. And again, this is very new to me. Matt and I have tried to get this up and going in the past, and it's been hard. I give a lot of credit to Jennifer. I know she's got a heavy workload, but I went to her last year, and she told me then that she was busy, that she would get to me when she could on this, and she sure did. And she said, you know, give me to the beginning of the year, and she sure did. She came right to me, ready to go, and she's had a lot to do with this, and I give her a lot of credit for that. We have a heavy workload, all of us do, and adding some more to it puts us in a crunch, but it's not a bind. I mean, we want this for this county.
And I also saw where you was talking about, it's not an obligation for paying for funding, but farmers and all might be able to be eligible for funding from grants from local and state, well, not local, but state and federal grants if they are members of this, if this area is classified. I know that some of the counties have done things with ag tourism. I mean, having days where you could go visit the farm. I mean, they've done a variety of things.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to comment that I think it's a very, very important program. We are agricultural, and I like to see us in that manner. What will be the impact, since other areas, governmental areas, have deemed that we're an urban county?
I don't know.
Are you aware of that? That
No.
other entities have deemed
The
us?
Census Bureau, I believe, has said that we are metro because or urban because most of our workforce leaves the county. However, the number one business in the county is ag.
And some of these questions are questions that they would have to research, because the memo from Jennifer is asking first to work on the voluntary program, so that way they can research some more of these, and then secondly, to develop the steering committee.
I'm certainly rude.
Voluntary.
Right, it's not to approve it, it's to, so that they can
Work
do
on
more
it.
work on it, to find some of the answers to these questions that you might have, talk with other counties, and to develop the steering committee to help develop the actual program that then they would bring to you for approval.
Yeah, because
All in
in her question, she asked, planning commissions to approve first to work on the voluntary ag district, and second, to develop a steering committee to begin working on getting Gates County into the voluntary ag district program. That's her two requests.
When I read this, I thought, one of the thoughts I had was, and the thought came to me early on because it was in this first quadrant on this page here. When I was reading it, I was wondering, are there some things that are going to handicap a farmer that could possibly be in this? In other words, are we talking about designating, is the whole county classified as a district for this terminology? Or are we setting aside this area of the county for
No,
farming, anything like that?
That's part of what they were working on, but also some of the answer I would think would be no, because based on the Cameron land use plan that will be presented to you and the information that's in there, so no, that it would not be for the entire county. But that's some of what they would need to work on as they move forward.
And it's to, if you look at Carolina and Clemens, they have it, and it's, but it's not, it doesn't put a mandate that they own them.
It's voluntary, being, that's that key word, it's voluntary. Nobody has to do it.
Well, there are farmers in Gatesville that have purchased farmland on Highway 13, and they're not farming. Okay, they bought it for, it's still listed as agricultural on our books, but they bought it for future development out there. So that was the thought, one of the thoughts that came to my mind when I was reading. So I was just wondering, you know, and I know we're talking about, you know, it's new to us, and we're talking about steering committee or whatever, but if it's been around long enough that 87 counties are already doing it, it's probably pretty well developed, probably something that ours would probably be close to 100% being the same. But that was just a thought, something you might want to share when you go back to your office. You know, is that a scenario, or are there any scenarios?
Well, as it was explained in the meeting, that this in no way will inhibit any type of development this people. The biggest thing is, as Gladys just said a few minutes ago, with signage, it's going to put a sign out there and come in to get county and alter ag district. You might smell a Purdue pipe when you're riding through, and don't get excited. And in Northampton County, they have a certificate on their subdivision plats that state that. Before a person can get approved, they have to realize that they're in an ag district.
And I believe Jennifer was saying that she was going to set up her GIS that would have an actual VAD layer to it. So that was something she said that she would potentially work on, which would be quite awesome.
Any recommendations about what the steering committee would be made up of?
Yes, and I don't have that. That's going to go out, and it's going to be made up of farmers in particular. And it was, that's going to be, I believe she sent it to, okay, I viewed it, and it's a write-up that's going to go in the paper and be sent to Melissa after we get approval for the steering committee and VAD to get everything going today. So.
And who would make the selection?
You guys, they're going to go through the entire, you got the application process that you guys have through the county. They'll go through all that to get on the steering committee, and then in June, I believe it said in June, commissioners meeting, you guys will have those applications in which then you would decide.
I make a motion that we proceed with the establishment of the steering committee for the voluntary ag.
Okay, so for her two things that she's asked for, to work on the volunteer ag district and to develop a steering committee.
One motion for that. Yes, I second that, Madam Chair.
Okay, so the motion's before us for asking us to approve first to work on the volunteer ag district program, and second to develop a steering committee to begin work on getting Gates County into the volunteer ag district. Okay, that is the motion, is properly second and for further discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay.
Again, I do apologize for my lack of information. I am still trying to learn it. I'm getting information from surrounding counties and just trying to absorb it all because it is important. I think so. Thank you.
Thank you, Gladys.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hedgepeth is here. And I believe you have some new business like Mesco's proposal for I&I.
You just want to give them a rundown what you have found out today and why this is needed.
Okay. Currently, Mesco has found two different companies that have put in a quote for bids for doing the underground research to figure out where I issues are coming from. Basically, that involves a ROV, a remote operated vehicle that will run down the sewer line and camera with 360-degree abilities to video up, down, side to side, and find where I is coming from, and report it back on a disc so we can pinpoint exactly how many foot from a manhole, and then find a contractor to go down and repair.
Okay, what are two bids, the price, cost?
One broke out a little bit more in depth of doing manhole inspections, and that's something that we can do ourselves. And, all we need is a camera, and they're roughly around $5,500.
Right, the one is $5,428.50, and the other one,
57.
I think that's about 57. Let me- Because it was late. We received that yesterday.
Who put the slide down?
Norlina Grading was the subcontractor for, G&H, HG Runs.
If we find,
Their warranty period's up. We had one.
thank you.
I got them back to fix a 9I issue originally where they grouted the stub outs out of the corner manholes on Sony Lane. And at the end of Sony Lane by the library, they had grouted the stub outs and that had blown out prior to the warranty. And I had them come back and repair those. And the bids were based off of a total linear foot from lift station back up to the Sony end of it at the library. That is a bid for doing the entire project. By just the checks we've done by pulling manholes, we've eliminated a portion of that. But the rest of it, we can't visually see to inspect. We can pop manholes and see where water's flowing. But it's a timing thing right after it rains, which has been one of my requests when they come to do this camera project, that they do it after a significant rain event, which will show the majority flood.
You give me the acronym again, I know it has something to do with invasion, filtration, what is it?
It's groundwater infiltration is what it basically relates.
Groundwater.
Okay, so you would like us to approve one of these, the money for this work to be done?
I would say yes, please. It's an issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Timothy, do you have an educated guess on what the problem's gonna be?
I'm not pleased with the material that was used. I think that's one of our major issues. It's the tap and sleeve or device for taps is it's an odd fit because it's a corrugated outer shell with a smooth inner shell. It almost looks like a DOT driveway cover, but it was approved for gravity sewer. I think one of our big issues that's causing it is the way they dug the trench and laid a bed of rock. It's acting like a fill line. And any significant rain in that stiff ground, it all ultimately ends up draining to the open trench because it's disturbed soil. Then it hits that rock bed, which the pipe is sitting on, which acts like an underground channel. So any open void, any mild crack that was just packed in solid dirt or sand, you wouldn't have those issues. But with the rock acting like an underground river, it's feeding it right to the collection system.
And by doing that, we're actually taking groundwater and putting it into our spring field
That-
all over the spring field.
That is correct. Those numbers directly reflect my lift station numbers as in the amount of influent going into the wastewater pond.
Tim, is it something by name or product that you could Google and see if there's a recall on it? Might be something out there.
I have to get with Mesco and figure out what the actual name of the product is. We actually got a flyer in the mail that we looked at that looked very similar, and Natalie and myself had a conversation about it. I wish I'd have been a little bit more involved with the material and planning phase of it, but, and knowing a little bit more about the material myself would have helped.
Who's our engineering firm that put that in force?
Kavanaugh.
Kevin. You know about maybe touch bases with them?
I don't think there's any need of wasting breath.
Russ is his name, right?
No, Tim.
Gus, that's right.
Tim was one of the engineers working on it, Gus, but Tim Kavanaugh, I believe was his name.
Well, he was there, I think he was the main.
The head engineering owner.
That's correct.
And since Timmy has determined there are certain areas that will not need to be tested, of course, the quotes, we would need to work with them to revise the quotes. So basically, what we would just need would be a motion to allocate up to, which is the most expensive one, which would be $5,700. And once he takes off, they determine they don't need to test this section, of course, the contract would be for less.
That's
Kind of like what we did with JD, up to $8,000.
It's billed by linear foot that's actually camera. So what Mesco done to create the bid was take our as-bills and copy those in a PDF file system so they could read the total linear footage.
How's our
Located and
grass?
identified, basically.
Yes, sir.
How's our grass looking on our honey pot spray field?
The cover crop didn't do very well this year. It was actually so wet, he was only able to plant partial. And the amount of rain that we've had pretty much drowned any grass that was there. We still have green and grass coverage, but the quality of grass is not there. So there's a potential this spring that we might have to reseed that. But you're talking a fairly minimal expense. Coming up here in the next 45 days.
I'm just thinking that at some point there's going to be a revisit there.
They come and visit me every year officially, and Don Burke pops in when it's through the area. And he usually gives me a call after he's gone and lets me know what he's seen. So far, it's been nothing but good reports and appreciative for the efforts put in. They recognize that everybody's been fighting with lagoon levels. I managed to get mine and keep mine about a foot of freeboard, with the exceptions of a few times it got up.
Okay, let's get back to the issue, like Mexico's proposal for I&I. Did I hear a motion?
So moved. A motion to approve the expenses for identifying the insert of water into the sewer system,
Okay, up to 5,700.
up to 6,000.
Did you say 6,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Did I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and second on the motion that approve the expenditure up to $6,000 for Mexico's proposal for the I&I. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Hopefully we can find out where the water's coming from.
Yes, ma'am. I think that will be a great time.
We've had a lot of that. Okay.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
The next on our, is the budget from the Board of Elections, which is up here on the table. This is the election item, line of justification for additional funding. Now, this is for the general election, correct?
Well, it's a combination. It's to just it includes part-time salaries to cover any hours that 2 staff members have worked since March 16th, because they had worked after March 15th. So it's to cover those hours and any additional hours between now and June 30th, as well as poll worker expenses for a June election and departmental supplies for a June election.
Okay, so the top part is to cover from
March 16th.
16th
Yes.
to the end of June.
Correct.
And as I understand it, the line item budgeted had zeroed out, and subsequently, prior to the last election. So-
Correct.
And so we're looking for additional Mike requested is $3,493 for the salary for the part-time. And then we have another $268 for part-time.
That's for the FICA benefits.
Okay, that's for FICA.
And so we'll be moving things from one line
No,
item.
sir. They do not have any more, they have very little money to move. This would have to come out fund balance.
Okay, so I guess we need to take those two items first. Or,
You can do that, because they did not know that there was to be a general election.
but they had maxed out before the June election, and we're not even talking about June election. This is,
For the part-time salaries, yes.
they had maxed out on that. Okay, so you see the line item 11,417,0126, salary part-time, and then the line item number and name 11-4170-181, salary part-time, and that's FICA. And that brings a grand total of $3,761, I believe, for that. Okay. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and second to, and the money is coming from,
Has to come from fund balance.
okay. Money has to be taken from fund balance because they have maxed out. Any additional, questions or comments?
I have a comment. I just don't understand why there's so much more part-time help needed. Does our director have set hours in the office, or does she come and go as please?
No. That office is open 8:30 to 5, just like all other offices are, but that'd be something that you would need to discuss with Mr. Hankinson.
So there are no regulations as to how much time she is required to spend in the office.
It's good question, Commissioner Phelps. Maybe we need to ask Mr. Hankinson to provide us through the state board elections, what the requirements, office hour requirements would be. I'm not talking about elections now, but just number of hours that it needs to be open. 'Cause I'm pretty sure there's some months of the year and some years when they're not elections that they probably may need to turn the light on.
Well, she is a full-time employee.
Understand? As far as part-time.
And full-time employees, I know she's a special case, but part-time employees full-time employees are required to spend 37 hours.
37 and a half.
37 and a half hours. It would be interesting to see if she has any requirements whatsoever, or she just hires someone else to sit in there for her absence.
Not a big deal now, but in the middle of this page, payrolls, PW payroll work.
No, poll worker.
Poll workers expense. Is there actually any rent charge, or is that just a?
No, there is, she does pay $25 per location, with the exception of Gatesville. No, excuse me, it's not 25. It's right.
What's the exception, Gatesville?
Gatesville is currently DSS.
County building.
I thought maybe there might be those questions or something. Right there, right there.
Okay, I would say that it does concern me that the budget of the Board of Elections that was was turned in was insufficient to cover the amount of money that they spent, or that somewhere there was some problems. Either the budget was unrealistic, or they spent more, there was somebody not watching the ship too tightly.
I will make you aware that for this coming budget year, she's requested the same amount that she requested and was allocated this past year.
The next year we have no elections.
We have an election in November.
Oh, okay, we do have an election.
Okay.
I know, we did that, we had been on election. It's been on TV for how long? Okay, any additional discussion? Now call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay.
Do we need a motion for Amanda to contact Chuck to find out about what he requires?
Certainly would not hurt.
Motion?
Okay, Commissioner Felton, are you making a motion?
Yeah, I will make that motion.
A motion to consult with the State Board of Elections and our county chair, Mr. Hankinson, concerning what are the requirements for
Office hours.
office hours.
We need also to add to that, what was the staffing of the office.
Okay,
It seems to me that someone is required when she's out, she's absent for leave, training, or whatever. Why did you need two people? Or was it, illness, and we don't know what the justification is because it doesn't say.
Okay, so you would like to also include staffing requirements of
But it's
offices?
with the staff requirements and also the office, how often was the office vacant for the direct president?
Question, would time sheets help with that? Or do they exist?
They do, or they are required to turn in time sheets.
In your office.
Yes.
And I say that because, that would be some justification. If there's absences, certainly you gotta have someone in there. And, it could be some special situations, why do we need an extra person? But on here, it only says absence, training, seminars, voter outreach, election prep. So,
Okay, would you amend your motion to include that? Did we have a second?
Yes, I'm going to have to say that. Okay.
Okay, you agree. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. Now, the second part is for the June election. And of course, when we made the budget, and when the budget was made for the Board of Elections, we did not know we were going to have the June election. So that is understandable. Like the ballots and the coding of machines
And she did say, this was last Wednesday when she provided me with this information. She did say that the state still had not notified her of all of the specifics for the June election. So these numbers are estimates, especially regarding the amount needed for ballots. But she was pretty confident that this would cover it.
Well, the only thing we'll be voting on in June is the congressional delegation. I can't imagine that ballot with a couple names on it being so much. But I might not know a great deal about ballots, but I would think it'd be that costing.
Probably got a minimum charge.
Probably the same size.
Yeah.
Same like that.
So, okay, you see the request here. For the two, one is for the election day poll workers expense, $7,000, and the others for departmental supplies, $5,000, which is broken down into ballots, $2,400, and election coding, $2,500.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve that part of the budget for her election. in
And
June.
this is 200 from fund balance.
Correct.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded that we approve these two items, well, amounts to $12,000, money taken from fund balance. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, so that item money is approved. Okay, we have also, from Ms. Baptiste, a request, for working on the Camel land use project. We had hired Holland Consulting Planners. In the original contract, we would have specified 3 work sessions. To date, we have had 6. It was supposed to be completed by November 25th, and the completion date is 9 June 2016. And then she is requesting $5,000 more to revise our contract with the Holland Consulting firm. Do we know what caused the delays?
It was various reasons. Some of it had to do with Jennifer getting them information. Sometimes it was Holland returning information to Jennifer. They've also been working with Charlotte Owens, who works with CAMA, and she's been slow in getting them information that they have requested. So it's been a variety of reasons.
Okay.
And it is very close to being completed. It will be presented at the April Board of Adjustment and the Planning Board meetings, and it will be on the agenda for public hearing in May.
Okay, the May's filling up fast with a lot of items. Okay, any,
Legit.
Yes. Yes, I have the document on my desk.
okay, you have heard various reasons for the delay. I know we all met Mr. Holland. He seems like a stand-up person, and certainly, what is your pleasure of the board?
Madam Chairman, the county manager is involved and knows what's going on there, and she says it's legit. I move that we approve the additional funds necessary to complete the Cameron use land program.
Okay, a motion has been made. Do I hear a second?
Second the motion, Madam Chairman.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I would like to add, another reason it was delayed is they had to find some more information than what we had in the office. Jennifer had to do a little more research, and Mr. Holland did too.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, there is, we took off the budget amendments because this one had already been done, about the,
Correct.
okay, the 2016 audit contract. Remember, we had to be audited each year, and this is for,
This is for this fiscal year, but there has to be interim work that needs to be completed, and before any work can be completed, this contract needs to be approved. And just to let you know that the audit this year cost $1,700 more than it did last year.
4,000?
1,700, I'm sorry.
and so they're asking for,
So we just need to approve this contract so they can begin work.
Okay, to approve this contract.
Yes.
Madam Chairman, for the county manager, in reviewing that process, there's a $1,700 increase in advisement.
Yes, because there's more work that is being required by the state and audits, and this is one of the firms that can do it all.
Very well, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
I see on page 5 of 8 in the document, and I didn't see this earlier, but it says a 75% cap for interim invoice approval for this audit contract is $38,587.50.
And based on what Sandy has said, that's standard.
Right, that's right above it, she explains it.
Well, we certainly need to make sure that we are in compliance with all financial requirements that the state has and for our own self-interest.
Madam Chairman, we all know this is one of those things we have to do, the state requires. I move that we continue our contract with Martin Starnes as our auditor for our accounts.
That's for 2015, 16. Is that right?
Yes.
Not for,
Right, not for the future. For July 1, 2015 to June 30, 2016, for clarification. Thank you. And that's my motion.
That motion's been made that we continue with Martin and Stern for the 2015-2016 to complete the audit reports.
And Commissioner Jordan said
And
second.
Ms. Jordan has seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That is approved. Okay, Mr. Jordan is up for the DSS board appointment. His term expires in June 30th, 2016. And he is eligible for another term because he is a member of the Board of Commissioners. So, do I hear a motion to reappoint Commissioner Jordan to the DSS board?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Motion has been seconded. We are in discussion. We do appreciate his service in the past. We know he will continue to do well. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. And we thank you for, it is a board that meets, is an active board, and we know it is a one that requires a lot of time. We appreciate your service. Okay, and last item of old business, which I was interested to see, was from the attorneys for the Hatches asking for us to approve the abandonment petition for the secondary road 1339, which is the circular drive at Sunbury Elementary School.
yes.
And this is just part of the process.
I did not talk to Hatches. This is the first I've seen it, but I do recall that it has come up in the past. And apparently, they've gone through the proper route and have the attorney petition the board. I don't think the state is doing anything to that road as it speaks. So,
But because you have that chain up, it needs to be not a public road. That has been the sticking point.
And until the building is refurbished, you wouldn't want people going in there anyway, because it could get in. I would make a motion that we approve that this road be abandoned by the state and considered responsibility of the owners of the Sunbury School LLC, Sunbury Fields.
Okay, a motion's been made to approve the abandonment petition for the secondary road 1339. Do I hear a second?
So moved.
Okay, a motion has been made and so moved. Discussion.
I'm pretty sure the state was never gonna pave that road again. It not being owned by the county any longer. I do understand the ability to put chain up, I understand that sort of might have caused this to come up. Do we need to make them aware that before they, or if they decide to take up that asphalt, we need to make them aware that they may want to check with preservation before they do that? I'm not saying they're getting ready to do that, don't know that they are, but
I don't think that's the concern, and that would not be our call. I mean, preservation would let them know that it was not me, because what we would say.
I'm just thinking, I mean, it's on them, I guess.
It is, it's
It's their responsibility.
it's their responsibility. And, if they make any changes, they do have to seek approval from preservation. And preservation is aware of this.
And preservation has encouraged them to complete this.
Claudia Denning has,
Just everybody being aware of my concerns, that's good.
When you say complete this, you mean complete this application for the road removal?
Yes, they have been,
for the state to abandon it. Right now, it's still an official road for the state, DOT.
That would be my next question. Well, I know there's been no progress made on the building yet at all. And I was just wondering if sometime in the future that the building is actually restored, would this be a hindrance to not having the road there to access it?
Well, it'd be just like any.
it'd be like a driveway or a
It'd be-
parking lot.
Yeah, it would be like any other business that would have an entrance and exit. It's just, the state of North Carolina, the Circular Drive at Gates County High School is a public road. The drive at Gatesville is a public road. The drive at Cooper is a public road. The high school at Ewell, that was a public road, but when it was sold, they had to go through a process of abandonment, I guess, when Carol's bought it or whoever is,
Well, if they,
or like the lanes and gates.
maybe to tag on Billy, what you're talking about, if they were to complete a project out there and were to want to open it up for business, they would have to provide parking. I mean, it has nothing to do with this, but just in the future, they would have to come before the building inspector. And they couldn't, if they did away with this, they wouldn't be able to open up until they put a road in and have parking.
Well, you had to have a driveway. It would not
This
necessarily. be a
isn't
road.
parking, this is just the driveway.
I'm just saying that if they do away with this road.
Oh,
But right now, if they were gonna open tomorrow, this little road, they could, and I'm getting away from the abandonment, I'm okay with that. But they need to understand that they tear that road up, when they're ready to open, they've got to have adequate parking for whatever they open up for. Right now, that road might meet that requirement.
But that road, if it's not abandoned, would be
Be a
part of
state-
state road.
Yeah, well, I'm away from the abandonment, I'm just thinking.
Right, but the
if they
issue
take
is
it up-
just the abandonment, and that's
Oh, yeah.
all we have to vote on
Yeah, we
today.
need to vote on that, I mean,
And, you know, and the thing is that said that they cannot really put chains up,
until. it-
prohibit that. I mean, there is a chain up, but it's not legal.
Can't close the road.
Let's say within the next 3 years that they move the project forward and we have seniors living apartments there. And they want to, my goodness, I got a lot of traffic here now, and I don't want to, this road got to be maintained because so much traffic. Well, they can come back to the board and ask that we petition the state to take it over again and link, like we want to do over at Sunny Lane. I don't know if we've done that yet, but the developer there would ask that we would go to the state and have them take over the state road. So, but as the chairman said, they cannot keep out traffic right now without having the authority to put those chains over. Unless we do this, I mean, they're just constant violation.
There, it's against the ordinance to.
I think it would be very unlikely that the state would ever take that back over though.
Well, they won't take over any roads that are not built to DOT requirements, and I'm not sure they'll take over Stony Lane, because I'm not sure it's built to their requirements of the day. Or the subdivisions, you know, that they have like Viper's Farms, they have some roads in there. Well, then we have this issue with Mr. Buck and some of his roads.
And the DOT will not take it over there, because, as you said, they're built to state specs and tested by the engineer to meet all the requirements.
But that's neither here nor there, this is asked for abandonment. Do I have a motion?
Yes, there was a motion. and a
Okay, second. Okay, any other discussion on the abandonment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Okay, we can inform,
Need a resolution for that kind of, that I would respectfully request the Case County Board of Commissioners pass this.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, that is a resolution, and we can draft one and send it out to,
We need to authorize the chairman to sign that.
okay, do we need to add that on to the,
So I'll make a motion that the chair, we authorize the chair to sign the resolution to submit to the Department of Transportation for abandonment of that road.
I'll second that motion.
motion's been made and seconded, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed. Okay. Well, I am really pleased that we have, is there anything else? Okay.
Madam Chairman, as it's not on the agenda, but it came up in discussion. I would like to ask our county manager to get in touch with DOT about Sony Lane and see what the status would be for them to take it over and report back to us.
I think, I don't hear you asked that in the past, it's been about a year or so there, more. Didn't follow up on it.
I believe I've seen something that said they refused, but I will double check and see if I can
That'd be
find.
good to know.
Okay, any citizen comments? We have 3. We are glad that you came and listen, we've almost done this in record time today. We're not going to fill up your afternoon. You can get on in all sorts of trouble this afternoon. Okay, we'll have our commissioners' comments. We'll start at the end of the table as usual.
Thank you, ma'am. We certainly appreciate all of you being involved in the process. We hear from many of our citizens and many of our folks who are more involved than others about their visions and about the goals they want to see. even though you may not hear them discussed in an open hearing, we do have the opportunity, all of us as colleagues, to discuss those and make decisions as pertaining to those visions that you have. So we thank you for those and thank you for your comments.
Again, thank you for your attendance too, and Henry, I'm not even crazy looking at percentage where it came from. And Warren, we appreciate your work over there too. You don't get much recognition sitting in the corner sometimes. I would like to make one little, for your information, announcement. For those of you that are interested in the Historical Society and their work, not the Gates County Historical Society at this time, but we had it a couple of years ago. A young man named Brent Lane gave us a talk. He is the one that uncovered or discovered the little patch on the John White map. And he will be speaking at the Muffleboro Library Thursday night at 6 o'clock. We were fortunate enough to have him a couple of years ago to speak to our June meeting. A very interesting discussion, very interesting findings, and might find it worth your while to go.
All right, I too thank everyone for being here today, and as always, we're thankful for our citizens being interested in how the government is run, the local government is run, because, you know, this is where the action really starts. They get a lot of fun from Washington, D.C., but a lot of times how things are carried out is right here in the local government. So thank you for your participation, and we thank you for the privilege of serving.
Thank you for being here. There's a lot going on in our state right now. A lot of things. I won't elaborate on those, but we get a lot of emails as commissioners, sometimes asking our viewpoint on them, and then sometimes just making us aware. But when you hear things going on in the state that you don't approve of, or that you have a voice and you want a platform to speak about it, it's not just county issues or county matters, but you can come to that podium and make your comment about something that's going on in Raleigh. So don't ever forget that it affects the state. We're part of the state. And so anytime you want to use your voice at that podium on matters like that, we welcome that. And we thank you for your participation.
And too, thank you for coming and listening, and hopefully, you learn more about how the government is run. Sometimes it's easy choices, sometimes the choices are not as easy. But stay informed, encourage your neighbors to come, watch us on the video that is posted every month, like our meetings. And if you do have a concern, our emails are up there on the website for the county. Our telephone numbers are up there as well. We'd love to hear from you. And listen, have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you back here in May. And that should be interesting because it's budget. And we put a lot of things off on solar farms, and there were several things that we were going to do in May, and I was beginning to think, every time they said May, I was thinking, oh, May. So we might not be out of here by 12:30 in May. So. Okay. Tonight, the board members are traveling to the Vernon James Center for the district meeting of county commissioners from the Northeast. This is a meeting that's held yearly, and we get to hear from the North Carolina Board Association of County Commissioners, the issues that they're going to try to push in the General Assembly. They listen to what we want to, also issues that we're interested in and promoting. So it's a good time for us to get with our elected officials and with our association to try to get some things here that we are very concerned with. So we will be traveling tonight and leaving about 4 o'clock. It'll be a long day for us. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, if you will, I did have brought to my attention that the delinquent tax list was issued by our tax department, and that on that list it was noted that there were various back taxes, even some as far back citizens know that our tax department, we are pursuing, trying to collect taxes that are due, and that we're very much aware that we need to bring those funds in, that everyone needs to bear their burden, if you will, of their tax responsibility. So we're on top of it, and be assured that we're going to try to make everyone carry their load.
And I believe the general statute said we could even go farther back than 10 years. We have traditionally done 10 years, but, you know, what is the old saying? Death and taxes, they're the only two sure things. And we certainly want to get our taxes that are owed to us. So. Okay. No motion to adjourn?
So moved.
One minute.
Okay.
I thought we were going to a closed session for a moment. I'll bring it on right now. It's come to my attention, probably Jack knows more about this than I do, the old tying well down here about the Bubba Abundance business. That is no longer in use, and I had a gentleman approach me, I had Bubba approach me he'd be interested in purchasing that property. It's in our county's name.
Okay, and what size property is it?
Approximately, I did not bring them out with me today, but it's about an acre. It was deeded to the county 2 or 3 years ago. And I don't see that we really have any purpose in it. The will has been found.
Okay, well, we need, maybe I can instruct our county manager to, get with Mr. Godwin about what's the process that we have to go through about selling a piece of property the county owns.
I think Kevin made mention of some of the sites that were engaged in. And we were considering that merger with Line of Water. Yeah. I don't know what plans he has for that. I mean, where it's done, but certainly if it's available, we can get rid of it, not to be used.
So just talk to you about that.
And Madam Chairman, too, since we don't have closed session, I just want to bring to the attention to our colleague, and I'm sure some of you probably heard this as pertaining to the tax areas on Highway 13 without bringing a specific area to mind. Have you gotten any calls about that, particularly Corner High?
Well, we had, it said we put closed session on, so if you need to go into closed session.
Do we need to go to closed session? Probably, or just a few minutes.
Probably so.
Okay, so we will make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-31A.
You don't need to read all of them. I'm sorry. Right.
Economic development. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Here, a second.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded that we go into closed session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. Okay, thank you.
We're all going to be here till 4 o'clock. Madam Chairman, I move that we come out of closed session.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded to come out of closed session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. I entertain a motion to adjourn until our next regular scheduled meeting, which is in May.
So moved.
Okay, motion's been made and properly seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Thank you.